all of your, not all of your, I've saved all of your newsletters because, like, you're like Tom. When he sends something out, there's so much depth to it. I could spend a week looking at them and going over. And I'm retired. I got time. So I'm just curious how, I'm really curious. Do you get much response from anybody, or because everybody's in their worlds and really busy, and heck, you're finding time to put it together. How do what's your audience like? Do you have any interaction with people about it?
Yeah, everyone's a little bit different, but goes out to over 7,300 people that have signed themselves up. I don't sign anyone up, or I know it's like some people like buy email lists. So really, really proud of that fact that we've been able to grow it pretty organically, and about 50 to 55% of those folks end up opening it each week. And I probably get 1 to 4 emails from sending out the newsletter. I get a lot of the, especially with the podcast. Like, I feel like I've been talking to you for a long time whenever I like meet someone for the first time. So I feel like the reach is further than the interactions that I get. But yeah, every once in a while, people will reach out and try to engage a little bit further, whether they want to have a conversation or just want to say hey and hello.
Well, my goal in having you on, you're serving the good of the game, and that's what I'm trying to do, and that's what the Sharks are trying to do. And to anyone out there that hasn't subscribed for your newsletter, I don't know what else to say, but you're missing the boat if you don't. Uh, I mean, I've just put on my screen, and I'm going to read out loud to the people here some of the topics, and these, I think there's about 15. I'll read about 5. The titles of your topics: differentiating between a bad, average, and good hockey player. Next topic: how not to be miserable and what actually leads to a happy life. Then, third one: you become what you are surrounded by, and featuring Macklin Celebrini, I believe. And the last one I'll comment on: coaches want more than just problem solvers. But for the listeners out there, within every one of your newsletters, there's a priceless amount of outstanding articles. But what I find interesting, Greg, is the videos. And this morning, I just started this morning and looking at talking about playing in the future. And I said, geez, how am I going to get into this? And Greg, I'm going to see if this works, but I just want you to talk about a little bit about the first one, and then maybe we'll get to the second and what inspired you to do it, and a little bit about some of the details within them. So listeners might be encouraged to reach out and look at this stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're definitely in the summer season, so we'll talk a little more broadly a lot with the newsletter rather than diving into the details. In season, there's a lot more like technical stuff, like what's a good way to process through a 3-on-2. What are some of your reads, things like that. But I was just talking with someone about what a bad, average, and good hockey player looks like, and the bad player is one who just basically doesn't want to touch the puck. Average one who's like, all right, I got the puck, now I'm going to do something. And then a good player, someone who's always engaged and thinking and planning ahead and positioning for the next sequence, play, whatever it is. So that's kind of the premise of that last one, which really, as you saw, if you read it, kind of linked to some other articles that I have in there. Like my first series when I started the newsletter was about adult league, how to suck less, score more goals.
Tom loves that one because he plays 3 times a week.
Yeah, just some basics for all us average hockey players out there. And then the average hockey player, I see a ton in high school. Like, they don't actually start playing until they touch the puck. Now I'm going to do something, rather than skating and being the person that opens up a passing lane or creates the opportunity to pass. They're never really building speed, or they grab a puck, they go until they have no more options, and then they're like, I should look to make a play now. And then that's when they finally are willing to pass the puck. I was playing adult league last night, and there's a guy that literally his teammate turned his knob over while crashing that as F2 because he knew he was never getting that puck, which is quite hilarious. And then the last one for me is like playing in the future. You're always thinking about what is going to come next. How can I best position myself to take advantage of it? Or like your first touch is the one that makes the play. So your first touch is always to a dangerous piece of ice, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the basics behind it, and there's many rabbit holes you can go down further within that, but just really the mindset between all three of them.
Greg, I wanted to mention when I looked at there was a battle drill in there, and you used the term asset, using your asset, and you put in brackets the word ass, and it had to do with puck protection. The thing that impressed me, and for every listener out there, especially the group that's with us tonight, the clips you put together of using your ass and protecting a puck, having your head up, being aware of what was coming and what's available, it was just brilliant. Those clips in themselves teach. So I'm just twisting the arms of everybody out there. If you haven't looked at some of the clips, just get into the newsletter and take time when you have time to go through it, because that was just brilliant. I just don't know what else to say, but let's just skip through a few topics here, Craig. And I'm going to ask some of the viewers, before we leave, the differentiating between good, bad, and average. Peter, you're dealing with evaluations in your associations sooner than later, or probably now, and same with Tom. And I'm involved in it. We're having a prep camp this week out here, Craig. Not to select, but it's to just get them in gear and get them ready for the tryouts. So the good, the average, and the weak, the 1, 2, 3 rating scales. Can you add anything to that? And because Craig takes it, we all rate them good, bad, or poor. Now we've got to develop them. It's one thing to pick them, Craig. It's the other thing to develop them. So with the National Women's Program, I use the term we evaluate to develop. So I'm more concerned, like your videos. Well, how do you develop it? Well, your video links, just those visual images, will give the player an idea of what to do. So it's a see and do.